Assalamu alaikum. Hope everyone's doing well. This video is in response to a video that I just watched about the 10 reasons why one should never submit to Islam. And before I get into actually my rebuttal for the 10 reasons, I want to make a point that the maker of this video never really cited anything from the Quran. Oftentimes he would just state things and leave it be. He did cite some actions in the past from Muslims in Muslim countries, but you can't really judge Islam by the actions of Muslims necessarily, because Muslims are human and therefore imperfect. And that was really only a couple times that he even cites that. So this is my rebuttal, because inshallah, I would love to give a better impression of Islam to the world. So I'm clearing these things up. The first reason the maker of said video gave for why one should never submit to Islam is because Islam promotes slavery. In the Quran, yes, there are references to slavery, but it doesn't promote it. I've been reading the Quran for a very long time, and I've actually read the Quran cover to cover, and there's nothing in it that promotes slavery. There are references to the fact that slavery exists, and it does talk about slavery, but that's really more because of the time period in which the Quran was written. During that time period in that culture, slavery was very common, and it would be impossible for the Quran to be written without any reference at all to slavery. The same thing can be found in the Bible. There are references to slavery, not necessarily because the Bible condoned slavery, but because at the time when the Bible was written, slavery existed. That's just how it was. Women as a sexual item was one of the other reasons that this person had for why one should never submit to Islam. That Islam promotes the idea that women are sexual items. This actually is quite the opposite. The reason actually why many Muslim women wear the hijab, or headscarf, and cover themselves from head to toe, as I do, is so that they're not seen as a sexual item. And not just Muslim men, but non-Muslim men and Muslim men alike. Personally, I find that the half-naked woman in a commercial is seen more of a sexual item than I am. The third reason was that Islam promotes pedophilia. Again, I've been reading the Quran for quite a while, and I've never found anything in it that would even suggest that Islam promotes pedophilia. Now, given the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did marry a young girl, however, he did not have any sexual relations with her until she was of age. So, even then, really, there's no pedophilia. Fourth reason was that Islam promotes wife-beating. Now, I'm pulling out my Quran with this. And I've also made another video all about this subject, which you can find on my channel, because as a woman, it's a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. But I'm going to read the same passage that I read in that video again for this. It's from Surah 4, which is Al-Nisa. Verse 19 says, "O ye who believe, ye are forbidden to inherit women against their will, so rape is forbidden, nor should ye treat them with harshness, that ye may take away their dower ye have given them." So you can't treat them with harshness, and you can't take away what you've been given, or what you've given to them in marriage. In every Muslim marriage, the man is required to give the woman something as a gift, and he cannot take it away, nor can he take away her personal belongings, except where they have been guilty of open lewdness, so only if they've committed adultery against their husband. On the contrary, live with them on a footing of kindness and equity. So, this also goes for women being seen as sexual objects. Just not true. And women being beaten? No, not true. You're supposed to treat your woman, or your wife rather, that sounds a little better, with respect. And actually, the Prophet Muhammad himself, peace be upon him, said, the best of you are those who treat your wife the best. So, then also, again, Surah 4, Al-Nisa, verse 128 says, if a wife fears cruelty or desertion on her husband's part, there is no blame if they arrange an amicable settlement between themselves. And such a settlement is best, even though men's souls are swayed by greed. But if ye do good and practice self-restraint, Allah is well acquainted with all ye do. So, if a wife fears her husband is being cruel or he's deserting her, then she can divorce him, is basically what this line is saying. Amicable, oh my gosh, I can't talk today. Settlement between themselves, so divorce is essentially what that is. So, wife beating in general, just not a good thing. You know, the Quran really isn't too big on that. And the sixth reason why this person said that that Islam is basically a terrible religion is because the Quran is inconsistent. First thing he mentioned was that the Quran talks about man being created from a number of different things. Well, unfortunately, that's not necessarily the Quran itself, it's the language that it was written in. Arabic itself is a very, very complex language, and it is actually very difficult to translate because many words have more than one meaning. In fact, there's one word in the Quran, which I talk about in my other video about wife beating, that has about 17 different meanings. It's haraba, I believe, is what it is. So, the fact that the Quran says that man was made from clay, dirt, blood clot, etc., really, probably all of those things came from the same one word, but that one word just had different meanings. So, in an English translation, they try to fit in all of those different meanings. If you're really curious about that itself, the Arabic language like that, I suggest you learn Arabic. This person also said that the Quran is inconsistent because the Prophet Muhammad changed the Quran and Quranic law, supposedly. This really not true, no. If anything, the Quran being a very complex book, and the way that it's written very sporadically, and it's not necessarily chronological, if that makes sense. The Quran definitely, you need somebody who knows it, like the back of their hand, basically, in order to explain it, and who better to do that, who knows it better, than the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.